I will be reading the Shylily section of Cinder's 1,000-page Google Doc. The reason why I'm doing this is because I think it is unfair that content creators dismiss this 1,000-page Google Doc or cherry pick certain things in it to support the narrative that this 1,000-page Google Doc does a good job refuting, or just skimming it and not reading all of it and making an opinion from there. I think that's unfair. I think it is only fair as fans of Sinder to sit down and take the time to read what she has to say about the allegations put against her in April. So, this is self-serving, but I just want to read this for you so that way you not only see it, but hear it. And you can actually take the time to, hear what Cinder has to say about the stuff put against her in April. Regarding the percentage of me almost done with the doc, I'd say it's about like 60%. And this was one of the longer sections. Literally, when I did an hour and 20 minutes reading it, and that was just one section. That was one section. So, yeah. So, I am going to be covering the Shylily section. Now, before we get into it, if you want to support Cinder, there will be a link to her card in the description below, cinder.carrd.co, cindercard.co. In it, there will be a link to her YouTube or Twitch, her socials, there's a merch store, and don't forget to use code Cinder on checkout at gamersubs.com to get 10% off your order. Now, with that being said, let's get into it and read the Shylily section of Cinder's Google Doc. Now, before I continue, I am not going to read all the screenshots. I will only read the screenshots if I deem it necessary. But if you want to hear me read it, feel free to check out the VODs of me reading the 1,000-page Cinder Google Doc, which includes the screenshots. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Shylily. Shylily's reply to my apology for reference. I ain't reading that. Shylily was a friend, but I've never been close with her. I wanted to get to know her better because of how close she was to my other friends. She's someone I've always looked up to. I saw her as a role model, and as of this year, a potential business partner. I wanted to live up to who she's been for the VTuber community and gamer subs now that I held the same title. She was the only example of a VTuber in that position before me and set the bar for what a gamer subs part owner is and does. I've never been jealous of her or envious of what she had, and I didn't see her as my competition at any point. Since October of 2024, Shylily and I had been messaging back and forth every now and then in our DMs, leading up to our interactions before and during our VCard collab you saw in the previous section. From the second half of March, she stopped replying to my messages. It's not odd to get busy and miss messages, and I was guilty of that all the time to too many people. But it was out of the ordinary and was going on for almost a whole month by the time I was cancelled. This was alongside her seemingly dodging collabs we were both a part of and off-putting reactions to me rating her. I became anxious about what was going on in March and April because I viewed her in such high regard. Shylily didn't have her own document about me and didn't say anything until after I did, but she was the first one Nano contacted about any of this and was involved the entire way through. Shylily pulled everyone together to organize, plan, write, and post the documents that ended in my cancellation, and her lie-filled reply to my apology was the final nail in my coffin. Her actions show she clearly had something against me before Nano ever said anything to her, and she couldn't take accountability and admit to it until I was already in the ground. Shylily said she wanted her own section, so here it is. I'll show and explain everything I was experiencing with Shylily for the couple months leading up to what happened, since it's relevant to understand what Red told Nano in their messages. I won't be repeating things that included Shylily in the previous section about VCard, and this section will pick up right before the release of the game and my collab with her. Everything is in chronological order, and all dates and times are in EST. I've censored any private information or names of people who aren't directly involved. Screenshots that include messages that were in any of the documents are highlighted with a red border. Screenshots that are directly of or taken from another document are highlighted with an orange border. Dates and important messages within any screenshots are highlighted in yellow. Video timestamps are linked to directly and highlighted in green. Quotes from my apology are highlighted in gray. Red zone comments on anything being presented are labeled and highlighted in blue. VCard launch information. I need to talk about this first because I made a mistake and knew it upset Shylily even if she couldn't admit it to me. January 26, 2025. Red and I were planning my stream for V-Card's launch day and asked GamerSubs about Shylily's exclusive unboxing stream to make sure we weren't stepping on her toes. During my stream on the 31st, I didn't start doing anything V-Card related until 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time out of respect for her. Red then gave GamerSubs a list of questions I wrote down for him that my community had asked me about V-Card on one of my previous streams. January 30th, 2025. Since the questions asked were stated to be from my community, and I wasn't told that this information was confidential and couldn't be shared, I assumed it was okay for me to tell my chat the answers to their questions on my stream. This stream was the day before the game's launch day, and no info had been released on what was going on, how things would work, or what things were priced at. The information I gave made it onto the GamerSubs or V-Card subreddit and into Shylily's Discord server, both citing me specifically as the source. Right after my stream ended, GamerSubs sent me updated info about the box pricing. January 31st, 2025. This was the day V-Card launched. Shylily talked about how angry and annoyed she was about V-Card info leaking early, including incorrect info. She claimed she didn't know who leaked information, saying, "I guess people are just excited to be the ones to spread stuff before me." And then 33 minutes 54 seconds to 44 minutes 8 seconds of the YouTube video from the YouTube channel Shylily VOD. The YouTube video in question, VOD exclusive V-Card pack opening hand cam stream, V-Card release, yada yada yada. Of the info I gave out the day before, I was wrong about the price by $5, which I was only updated about after my stream ended. The other thing I advertised that I assumed would be the case, but was wrong about, was V-Card being available 20 minutes early on the GamerSubs app. All of their drops were consistently like this for a long time, but it was only on V-Card's launch day did Red and I find out that this was discontinued. Everything else was correct, but I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say anything about it. Shylily said that the official sources were the only ones with correct info, meaning herself and the GamerSubs or V-Card Twitter accounts. When someone asked if I was an official source, she said no. I was a part owner now, and I didn't know there was a difference between me and the other official sources. I was given the information directly from the source, thought it was okay to make public, and thought I was doing the right thing by answering questions the community had. My motivation wasn't to be the first to share this info. The community didn't know what was going on just a day before the game launched, and instead of leaving them in the dark, I gave them the answers to the questions asked on their behalf. As a new part owner, people were looking to me for answers about V-Card, and I thought I was doing the right thing by informing them. I was wrong to do so and made a mistake, and I made sure to correct the info I had wrong on my stream on launch day. That night, I messaged Shylily to apologize about what I did. After what happened with New Me 2 nights earlier, I was making an effort to be more open about things. Shylily avoided saying I was the person who was leaking info or admitting I was who she was mad at. I was the only one who could have shared the incorrect price and was the one mistakenly advertising the early app pre-orders, and there were posts citing me as the source of all of this leaked information. Shylily knew it was me, sounded pretty mad on the stream at the leaker who was excited to be the one to spread stuff before her, but danced around it as if she was never mad at me. In the end, she praised me for having the balls to reach out to her about this. February 16th, 2025. In another conversation with GamerSubs a couple weeks later, we asked for them to clarify to us what is and isn't able to be shared publicly going forward. After what happened during V-Card's launch, I was told that there was not really a certain source the launch info was supposed to come from. February 5th, 2025. The very last collab I had with Shylily was a few days after our V-Card collab. March 3rd, 2025, this was the first time either of us messaged each other since our V-Card collab on February 1st. I asked Shylily if she wanted to play Split Fiction with me. It was a long game that we would have been able to bond over while getting to know each other better. She told me she'd pass on the game, and that was fine. Then I asked Numi, who was also unavailable. She told me that Yuzi was interested, and I happily played through the game with her. March 11th, 2025. The last time Shylily and I spoke was when she reached out to me about disconnecting problems she was having with OBS. Trying to fix my own disconnecting problems are what made me move back in with my parents before this conversation. After this, there were two different repo collabs Shylily and I were both supposed to be a part of. This was when I thought things started to change between me and Shylily. March 21st, 2025, this was the first repo collab. It was originally going to be on the 15th, but was rescheduled to the 21st. Shylily was supposed to be there, but she decided to cancel last minute due to a Bikini Bottoms collab she had going on that day. I understood just like everyone else, and this alone wasn't a problem to me. The YouTube video is Big Repo Collab Today featuring Lime, Shoto, Camila, Dem, and Michi. March 27, 2025, the second collab never happened but was being planned in a group chat. Shylily was added to the chat but apparently couldn't make it shortly after. She never messaged in this chat directly before she was removed. These are all of the messages here and it never went anywhere after this. From then, these are the rest of my DMs with Shylily. Below I'll explain them and other events that were happening in between. March 28, 2025, I messaged Shylily the day after the above collab chat happened when the new V-Card rules were announced and the tabletop sim version was revealed. I would have thought she'd love the idea of playing together to advertise and show off the new rules of her game. It'd generate hype and renewed interest in V-Card after lots of people were dissatisfied with the first edition's game mechanics. It was an idea motivated by the business implications of it, but it was something to do together as friends that I thought we'd both be excited about. It would have benefited us both and the entire brand. March 30th, 2025, I rated Shylily. 6 hours, 52 minutes, and 52 seconds into the YouTube video, VOD overslept zzz, but it's okay, I'm awake now, sort of. March 30th, 2025, on the YouTube channel, Shylily VOD. Shylily greeted the raiders and didn't say hi to me, or thank me for the raid. I didn't see it when it happened, but if you were to watch for another 5 minutes after she basically moved on with her stream, you'd see she then did quickly thank me for the raid. If she was able to greet my raiders when the raid first happened, then why couldn't she have also said hi and thanked me then? I wasn't upset about this since it was just one raid. Nano's document had a link to the exact timestamp this raid happened in Shylily's defense. April 7th, 2025. A week later, I still hadn't heard from Shylily. I messaged her again about playing a different game together. I just wanted to hang out since she hadn't been able to make the past 2 collabs that we were both supposed to be a part of, and maybe she didn't like my idea about V-Card. She turned me down when I asked about Split Fiction a month earlier, so it's not like she hadn't done that before or couldn't have done that again. April 11th, 2025, I rated Shylily again, 5 hours, 49 minutes, and 28 seconds into the YouTube video. VOD, pulling Castris, my queen, finally catching up in HSR. April 11th, 2025, on the YouTube channel Shylily VOD. Shylily didn't say hi or thank me for the raid like you'd expect your friend to do or any streamer to do. She said hi to my raiders but didn't thank them either. She goes on to read one of my chat messages, but this was the second time Shylily had an off-putting reaction to be sending my community to her in the past couple weeks, coupled with removing herself from collabs I was a part of and ghosting my messages. This more recent raid was not linked in Nano's document. I decided to DM her again to bump what I sent her before. After still not hearing from her, I was convinced I had done something wrong. I wasn't expecting an over-the-top reaction from Shylily just because I raided, just a hello and thanks for the raid like any other streamer would do, especially from someone who was a friend. In the past, Silvervale, who Red and I knew had a problem with me, purposely refused to say my name when I raided her. She continually ghosted my messages and got a model from Nano at a suspicious time, among other things, which will all be shown in her section. These specific experiences with someone else who we knew didn't like me further led both Red and I to believe that Shylily had a problem with me for some reason. I wouldn't have thought that the individual things I experienced with Shylily were pointing to a greater problem if they weren't all happening over the same few weeks. April 11, 2025, the same day as my second raid, Red saw Nano working on a new model for Shylily for the first time. He messaged her and asked questions about the timeline of the model. Red, I asked Nano about Lily and her projects just like I would any other time, and Nano gave me the information, just like she would any other time. I thought that Lily getting a model from Nano could possibly be related to how she was treating Sinder lately. That night I saw Red and he told me Nano was working on a model for Shylily but didn't say anything about him asking Nano about it or that he would. I was happy with the idea that Shylily and I were going to be model sisters, especially since we're both part owners of the same company. Red thought we might have to consider that we'd be competing with Shylily with the way she was treating me and the fact she was working with Nano now, similar to how things were with Silvervale. I didn't agree. In my mind, Shylily and I weren't going to be competing for anything, and this would be another thing we'd have in common to hopefully bring us together. I was only concerned with why she would have been upset with me lately and was anxious about it. April 12, 2025, the next day Red went back to Nano to ask about Shylily again and tell her what I've been experiencing with her. These are also the last messages Red had with Nano and the last conversation either of us had with her in either of our DMs in Project Server. I had no knowledge of these conversations until Nano's document was released 2 weeks later. In my apology, I wrote, I had no idea there was even a conversation about Shylily recently between Red and Nano until reading her document. It's true I had confided in Red that lately I hadn't been hearing from Lily like I had in the past, and was worried something was wrong, but that's as far as it went, and he took it upon himself to try digging for more info. Red, I didn't share any of this conversation or the conversation above with Cinder because there wasn't anything super meaningful or pressing I thought she needed to know about. Red, I followed up with Nano about Lily because of the way she was acting towards Cinder over the past few weeks. It really seemed like Lily had a problem with Cinder. Red, I didn't lie about anything I said here. Me saying ever since after V-Card launched was because around then was the last time I remembered them collabing and talking with each other. Like I said after, I remembered Lily saying it was too soon to get a new model around the start of the year, but I didn't consider the 3 to 4 months that passed when I said this, and obviously Lily changed her mind since then. Red, this is the only time I ever said anything to anyone other than Cinder about competing with Lily. If Lily had a problem with Cinder and at the same time started working with our model artist, then yes, we wouldn't be working together anymore. In my mind, we'd be competing with her, at the very least over Nano's time. If Lily wasn't treating Cinder differently, I wouldn't have had any reason to think the timing of Lily's model with Nano was suspect, and no reason to ask Nano anything when she started working on Lily's model. I would have felt the same way about it that Cinder did. Between these screenshots, they were talking about something unrelated. Red, I stayed informed with Nano's plans because of who she was to us in our brand. It's always been that way, and it's never been a problem with her. I said we have to stay competitive, as in a general sense with the entire VTuber sphere, even when we shouldn't have to with someone like Lily who we thought was a friend now acting this way. Red, it wasn't either of us who had a problem with Lily or treating her differently for no apparent reason. Red, these are my last messages with Nano. I guess saying anything bad about Lily was a step too far for her. I didn't know why, if she did think I was lying about Lily for some reason, she didn't just ask me to verify what I was telling her instead of leaking our messages. I never asked, told, implied, or said anything to Nano about not working with Lily or canceling her model she already started, and I had no intention to. April 15th, 2025. I still hadn't heard from Shylily, so I tried messaging Bosca about my previous DMs to her. Bosca told me Shylily rarely uses Discord and only really uses it for business meetings and stuff, which was weird because until these past few weeks, I didn't have any problems getting a hold of her in our DMs. I hadn't had to message Bosca to get to Shylily since before October 2024, so this was out of the ordinary by now. The messages below were the same day in the group chat with us and Lily, and Shylily. I was fine with not doing anything together, and I just wanted to hear from her since I had no idea if something was wrong. Nothing else was ever said in this chat. Bosco told me Shylily would be very occupied in the coming months because of a trip somewhere, implying I shouldn't expect to plan something. April 21st, 2025, this was my last message to Shylily 5 days before anyone posted their documents. I tried to talk to her about whatever was going on and clear things up between us. Shylily never responded, even after praising me in the past for having the balls to reach out to her. And what Cinder says on this day, at 12:27 p.m. Hey Lily, is everything okay? I know I've been told you aren't the best with messages, and I get we're both super busy with things all the time, but I kind of feel like I've upset you in some way and wanted to ask you directly. So, again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I've seen too many content creators dismiss Cinder's 1,000-page Google Doc, and I think that's unfair. And I think it's only fair as fans of Cinder to just take a moment to sit down and read what Cinder has to say regarding the allegations put against her in April. Because I believe this 1,000-page Google Doc does a good job in refuting the claims put against her. Now, in terms of the progress of me covering the Cinder doc, I'm at like the 60% mark, maybe like 63% mark now. Because once I finish covering the 1,000-page Cinder Google Doc, I'm dropping this entirely, moving on to different things. Cinder's doing good, she's come back, she wants to move on. And as a drama tuber, I'm milking this for content. But at the same time, I'm doing it because I believe that people should hear and see what Cinder has to say about stuff. So yeah, that's it. Now, before I end the video, if you want to support Cinder, a link to her card will be in the description below. It'll be cinder.carrd.co, so cindercard.co. So feel free to check it out. They'll have her Twitch, YouTube, her socials, and her merch store in there. And don't forget to use code Cinder on checkout at gamersubs.com to get 10% off your order. Now with that being said, everything I use for this video will be in the description below. I encourage you, the viewer, to go to the source so that way you yourself can come to your own independent conclusion.